Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm joined by the main man, the bee in the bang, Bernard Dineen from the Citizen Channel. City fan for over 60 years. Wow, that's a long time, isn't it, mate? Sorry for
No,
reminding
it's
you.
all right. I must admit, I don't remember. I don't remember myself in a City kit when I was 4 or 5 years old, but possibly
Not
I
long
was.
thereafter. Not long thereafter.
7. Let's say
Right.
when I was 7. So let's say 58
58.
years.
It's as good as maybe. Yeah, well, all this frivolity and jollity and all that, we're going to put that to one side because we're going to talk about Johnny Stones. Serious matter now, Johnny Stones. And we saw in the game against Everton another injury. He's picked up another injury. We were discussing it before we came on air that he has been at City 7.5 seasons now. So he's potentially played he could have played 284 league games. He's only played 151. And that predominantly has been because of injury. Now, when Pep came, I remember I think it was the Centurion season. Vincent Kompany, second game of the season, he was on the bench or in the crowd or whatever. He wasn't. I think he was in the crowd for whatever reason. Might have been sent off or whatever. But John Stones was paired with Laporte, I think, back in the day. And Kompany said, apparently, something like he thought his time was over at City because they were so good. They were young and so good. And he didn't see his future. He didn't see any future. Now, unfortunately for Johnny Stones, a couple of months into the season, he gets injured and he comes back, but he's not the same player. Happened the following season, got injured early, comes back, he's not the same player, he doesn't get a run. And actually, before last season, we were looking at selling John Stones. There was an option to go to Spurs on loan with an obligation to buy for £20 million at the end of the season. And apparently it was John Stones who said no to that. He said that because his family were based up in the north, he's only played for northern clubs, Barnsley, Everton and Man City. Because his family were based up here, he wanted to stay up in the north. And I think that's the only thing that scuppered John Stones' deal with Spurs. I mean, I wouldn't have gone personally, but he needed to play. He's 29 at the moment. He'll be 30 next May, so he's 29 and a half years old. And as I said, it has been the injuries that have been his downfall at City because he's a fabulous player. But we've got to
cost him a lot of international caps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And possibly England a trophy or two. Who knows? But
don't push it.
All right, fair enough. With Gareth Southgate in charge, All right, I'll be serious. But no, it's been really unfortunate these injuries. But it's something you said to me earlier on today that maybe it's time we need to start looking for somebody else because come back, Aymeric Laporte. No, maybe it is time because we can't rely on him. We can't rely on John Stones for more than 4 or 5 games on the bounce. And this season probably not even that. So, yeah,
like the injury, he got injured with that offside thing, but who's to say 5 minutes later something else wouldn't have happened?
Who knows? But the frustrating thing is he's a class act. Now, I'm going to go through some of his stats. I'm just bothered about league games. Okay, now Everton. I'll go back to Everton. He played even back to Barnsley. The season he was at half season at Barnsley, he played 22 league games. Everton, following season, 21. Following season, 23. 33. That's been his best ever season. First season with City, 27, then down to 18. That was the Centurion season. Up to 24. That's still only 2/3 of the games. Next season, 16, 22, 14, 23. This season, he's played 7 out of 18 league games. It's just not enough for a player of his quality and for City. You said it yourself that you think it's time to look elsewhere. Keep him because you don't want him to go, but you need somebody who's going to be more reliable. At what point do you think City? I hate to say it like this. At what point do you think City pull the plug on John Stones?
Yeah. Well, again, heart and head, isn't it, mate? Heart and head. I mean, from a purely, to me, I was surprised. They will, but I mean, who the hell would want to come in for him anyway? But they will, because that's what teams do. It seems to happen all the time. No matter who Fabian Delph. Who would want to come in for him because of his injury problems? And the same with John Stones. I mean, for me, he can stay with us forever because I like him. I love him. I love him to bits, and I think most City fans do. The worrying thing for me is Pep was relying on him a lot, especially this season. Now he's got this new role, and Pep's relying on him. The trouble is, Pep can't rely on him. It's as simple as that. Yeah. But if Pep wants to play that style and wants to play that, he's either got to find someone who's already there to do it, which I'm not 100% sure there is, or he finds someone from elsewhere to do the job. Now, obviously, that would backfire on Stonesy going forward. Of course, if he becomes a guy who's on the bench and filling in for another guy, is that right for him? It's not really fair on him, and I don't want that to happen because, as I say, he's a for me, he's a City player. He's just not a legend. I'm not going to say we're going to build a statue to him, but he's just a guy you don't want to lose out on. And so it is awful. But Pep has got to make that decision. We're a football team. We're a club. We want to keep winning things. And unfortunately, he can't rely on Stonesy anymore.
Yeah, sentimentality has to have a limit. You know, you can't be romantic and say you want to keep Stones.
While Stones was playing a standard centre-half role, it was different. You know, he could probably get away with playing 20-odd games a season. But now Pep wanted him to do a little bit more. It's a different role. It's like Rodri. You can't, like Rodri becoming glass-legged. Yeah. You know, it's such a crucial position for Pep. I'm not saying Stones is the same, cruciality, I believe that's a word. But it's an important role.
The issue for me is, I mean, Rico Lewis was playing that role. You know, John Stones was kind of learning off Rico Lewis. He made that role. And Pep's not gone back to Rico. Now, Rico is only 19 years old. So you could argue maybe he's your man. And if but would John Stones at 30 years old want to be behind a kid who's 20? Will Pep focus more on Matheus Nunes or Kovacic or Rico Lewis? And maybe one of them makes that position theirs, and John Stones is fighting.
He might. I don't think Gvardiol will make it a bit at the moment, but he's still got some talent. I've seen some of the stuff I see from Gvardiol in the middle of the pitch. He's quite clever, and it works sometimes. Not all the time.
He's got Walker level of concentration. It isn't good enough. But I don't want Stones. If one of those three players that I mentioned, whether it's Rico Lewis, whether it's Kovacic, whether it's
Lewis has to be the obvious character, doesn't he?
But then if one of them takes over that position, then Stones is fighting. He's going to be like Laporte. He's fighting against Akanji, Ake, Diaz for the centre-back spot. That's probably still, if he's going to play, if he moves back to centre-back, that's, like you said, that's okay, because there's four of them. We play 60 games. That's 120 games a season, basically, for your centre back. So each of them could play 30 games, and and half a dozen games as a sub. So there's plenty of games in there. But
with Vinny Company, it was the same thing, wasn't it? We had that ability for him to have a few weeks out and then just slot back in again, and we could do that with John Stones at the back in the centre backs.
Is that what you'd think to do then? Keep John Stones as he'll play now and
it's such an important position that Pep wanted him to play that I just can't see the point of that. Unless
keeping him
as really keep Stones, use him. Will Stones be happy with that? Has it been took out of him now? Has Pep coached it out of him? I don't know. This is you bang on about Pep coaching things out of players, but the fact that Pep's now moved him into this position, does that mean consistently as a centre half he might struggle a bit now? I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, he's not playing there too often, but it's an interesting one. Excuse me. It's an interesting one. And if he does leave, I don't know who's on the horizon, either as as that specific role, that new role, or as a centre-back. I don't know what we do. Excuse me. So it's a difficult one to contemplate. I mean, I don't want to see Stones go. But you said no statue. He's been here 7.5 years, mate. If he stays 10 years, he'll get a statue. And the statue, what statue would you have of John Stones?
The Liverpool clearance off the line.
Absolutely. And for that, he'll always be in our hearts.
Oh yeah, you can have a. I'll tell you what, I'll change my mind. You can have a statue just for that.
Yeah. Oh no, that will boil those the piss of those Scousers if we have a statue of Johnson. I guarantee we'll get defaced.
Yeah, you can even put Mo Salah on it if you want as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, that
not a very flattering statue though, with like Leo Sayer hair or something like that.
Yeah. His hair out of position, his face all screwed up. But as I repeat, that's Johnny Stone's statue will be defaced within 24 hours if it's that one of the Liverpool one. Anyway, guys, there you have it. We worry for Johnny Stones. We hope he gets through this latest injury quickly. Hope he's back playing for City and doing what Johnny Stones does, and that's top-class football. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you can hit that bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. We'll see you around, Blues.